For the next 8 weeks, every single session, whether it's in the gym, out on the road, every single rep, it's all building towards one thing: the ATHX Games at the Birmingham NEC in 8 weeks' time. Let's go. Most people think you have to pick, whether it's lifting heavy in the gym or going out on the road and becoming a better runner. I'm going to show you the exact 8-week program that I'll be doing, all with the goal of competing at the ATHX Games at the end of August. I'll show you all my numbers, what worked, what hasn't worked. This week is one of 8. Let's get into it. So, quick context for anyone new here. I'm Max. I used to be in the British Army, I used to be a personal trainer, and I've effectively been training hybrid for the whole of my life. I've been lifting, I've been running all at the same time. But now I've got a goal at ATHX, which I'll be training for 8 weeks, and I've built a program to try and structure. Not only can I get stronger, but can I get fitter as well to be able to compete at a high level at these games. When I first heard of ATHX, I thought it'd be very similar to Hyrox, DECA, and the other sort of functional fitness events you have out there. But what I like about ATHX is it really takes the hybrid athlete from absolute power to the endurance as well. Something like Hyrox, yes, you have to be strong to push the sleds, but essentially all the stations, they take a few minutes to complete. So you're not reaching that absolute power that you need to be a proper hybrid athlete. At least with ATHX, you have to lift heavy in very low reps, 1 reps, 3 reps, 5 reps. And then you have the endurance section where you're running and rowing. And then you have your Metcon station, which will test your muscular endurance. I'm going to show you my ATHX explanation from one of my last videos to tell you exactly what ATHX is, all the different stations, what it's comprised of, and what it's about. It tries to build on the hybrid concept where it tests your strength, your power, and your endurance. It starts off with the strength section. This includes a 1 repetition maximum strict press from your shoulders with the barbell. After this is a 3 repetition maximum with a back squat, and then it ends with a 5 repetition maximum of your deadlift. All of these weights get combined to give you your total weight lifted over those 3 events, and then that will give you your total score of where you place compared to other people. After a quick rest, you'll then move on to the endurance section. This involves a run and a row, which you'll keep doing for 22 minutes and try and get the maximum distance possible over those 22 minutes. The fitter you are, you should get a bigger distance, which means you'll score better on this section to test your endurance. Finally, there's a Metcon section to test your muscular endurance. This is very similar to your Hyrox type activities, such as ski erg, carries, walking lunges, and burpee broad jumps. Back in January, I competed in the London ATHX Games with a partner in the men's doubles. I managed an 85 kilo strict press overhead with the shoulders, 3 repetitions on 160 kg back squat, and 5 repetitions on 195 kg deadlift. We qualified for the pairs championships to go to Lisbon in November, but in August, I'll be taking it on solo, and the training for this starts now. The 8-week program that I've built, caveats are here, this is built for me, my lifting style, my running style. What I've been doing for the last 20 years will help move me to this, with how I recover or how I respond to certain stimuluses, how I fatigue if it's running or getting DOMs in my muscles after I work out. But it'll follow the simple format of push-pull legs, push-pull Metcon, and then a day off on the Sunday of the weights. But it'll follow all the principles that I've talked about on my earlier videos, as well as making sure I'm hitting the weights in the gym, but running outside to get that stimulus so I'm covered on all bases when it comes to actually competing in ATHX in 8 weeks' time. I'll run through the 8-week program bit by bit, play by play, in much greater detail later on. But essentially, weeks 1 to 4 is my foundation phase. All the weights I do here on my compound lifts will be 5x5, so I get a really good power base moving through the 8-week program. Weeks 5 to 6, I'll bring the reps down and I'll be pushing the weight up. Week 7, I'll be going absolute max, so I know when I actually get to the end of the 8 weeks, when I get to the ATHX competition, I know what I should be lifting. I don't want to go into that competition with a rough idea, hit a certain weight, and then think, I probably could have lifted an extra 10 kg, go to lift the extra 10 kg, and I've already fatigued myself and then fail. So I could have actually got a better score on the board having not fatigued myself previously. Week 8 will just be a taper week, nice and light, make sure my muscles are primed, and I'm good to go come event day. So the first week, building the base. I wanted to make sure that I get the 3 main lifts, deadlift, squat, shoulder press, on different days spread throughout the week, so I can really focus on those lifts as the primary focus of those sessions. And then I have a primary Metcon session with the priorities, the movements for ATHX, and getting as many of those full simulations in as I can. and I have another Metcon session bolted on at the end of one of my pull days to make sure I get more energy efficient and used to completing those movements. The push days, I have 2 push days in the week. One will be a shoulder press focused, one is a chest press focus, and of course Wednesday I have my heavy leg day. This will be heavy squats, 5x5, all in the aim of lifting as much as I can come ATHX. Getting some more detail onto the week. So Monday, the deadlift focus, this is 5x5. Let's suppose I hit 180 kilos in my first rep. I'll then take off 5% of this, and then I'll move on to the next rep. Whatever that top set is, which I'll do first after my warm up, every single set I do after that will be 5% less of what that last top set was. So if you did 100 kg for your deadlift, if you take off 5%, you're 95 kg, and then you take off percent, it's just above 90 kg, but let's put on 90 kg onto the bar, 85, 80, etc. And that's how you go down to make sure you're hitting that top set, so you're getting the stimulus in your muscles to have the power to lift that top weight. But then as you're moving down and you're getting more fatigued, you're still stressing your body, but you're reducing the injury risk by lowering those weights, and you can perfect your form a lot better as well. For the accessory exercises, these could be personal preference, and I tend to go in the higher rep range of anything between 8 to 12 reps. I do a bit more of a bodybuilding type style training in my last half of my sessions, just to make sure I actually stress the muscles so I can keep the muscle masses that I've got. I want to keep that stimulus going. I don't just want to just focus on a deadlift and that's my weight's done for the day and then go on a run, because I don't want to lose any muscle I've got. I want to maintain what I've got. Usually in Metcon, especially for ATHX, you'll be focusing on lunges, box jumps, and exercises that will fatigue your legs, and they'll fatigue your legs for the next day and possibly the day after. Whereas when I say aerobic Metcon, I'll be taking exercises such as a ski erg, burpee broad jumps, even rowing, which is less taxing my actual muscles, but more taxing on my aerobic ability. So I'll be breathing hard, finding it hard to push the output, but I won't be really fatiguing my muscles. If I did burpee broad jumps, this isn't going to fatigue my muscles, but I'll be really, really out of breath doing it. So this should really, really help stimulate. This should really help come race day when I'm pushing the limits, but also learning my pacing for how I should pace myself throughout the actual Metcon station. Tuesday, push day. This would be focusing on chest first. So again, it could be a bench press, it could be an incline bench press, whether it's barbell or dumbbell, 5x5, and then I'll move on to a bit of shoulder work, a bit of chest work again, accessories such as flies, triceps at the end. So that's the first push session of the week done. And then usually later in the afternoon or in the evening, I'll do a hard and fast interval session. This could be anything from 12 by 400 meters, 8 by 800 meters, 6 by 1 kilometer. It could be anything which you need to progress as best you can throughout the 8 weeks. I will usually start off either slower at a longer distance and I'll bring my reps down so I get faster throughout the 8 weeks, or I'll go the other way where I start fast and I'll try and keep that pace throughout the weeks as I add on distance. I'll be focusing on that 750 meter distance because that's how long the ATHX loop is on the endurance section. When you go from the run and the row and the run and the row, it's about 750 meters. So something like an 8 by 800 meter block is perfect for me to know my pacing, how hard I can push myself, and where I should be during that 22 minutes. Is a good gauge of how I'm performing. Wednesday, as I said, squat focus, 5x5. Thursday, pull session again. I won't be doing any barbell work here. I'll save my lower back. This won't be any deadlifts. I probably won't have any heavy bent over rows. This will be machine work, do some biceps, and generally an easier day in terms of overloading my central nervous system, but I'll still be trying to maximize the tension and the feel of my muscles as much as I can. Friday, the second push session of the week. This will be with the shoulder press focus. Same as legs and deadlift, it'll be 5x5. If I start on 70 kilograms for 5 reps, I'll then move this down roughly by 2.5 to 5 kg at a time, and keep those 5 reps going all the way down the ladder. So I'm keeping my form, I keep stressing my muscles, but as I get fatigued, I drop the weight to make sure I don't get injured. I'll also add on an easy shakeout run, anything between 8 and 12 kilometers, super easy conversational pace. Zone 2, this is to shake out my legs, make sure I'm recovered, good to go for the next day. Saturday is a Metcon session. This is where I'll go hard, go heavy on the legs, full out, full simulation. The simulation should be under 15 minutes for an ATHX round. So I could probably do 2 or 3 of these within a session. This will get me used to my pacing. It'll get me used to the weights and the movements of ATHX. I've never done box jumps. I don't ever do circuit training. It's not really something that I enjoy, but it's something that I'm gonna have to do to be able to compete at a good level at ATHX. So everything such as burpee broad jumps, box jumps, dumbbell snatches, exercises I never do, but I want to train these a couple of times a week in the build up to it over 8 weeks, so I'll become much better at them over time. I'll be sure to time myself in these sessions. Whatever session I do, if there's a full simulation or a breakdown of the movements, I'll time myself every single week to make sure I've got an improvement, as well as an actual mental target to go for, so I can really push myself hard, making sure I'm pacing myself throughout. If I push myself too hard and I might go slower one week, I'll know that I've gone too hard and I need to pace myself better. If I'm improving every single week, but if I'm getting better every week, it means I'm getting more efficient with my energy, my movements are getting more efficient, and I know how to undertake the movements a lot better. Sunday I've left as a long run. I think you should always have a long run at least once a week in your training. This can be anything from an hour to 2 hours, whatever your ability may be. I like to stick around 90 minutes. It could be anything from 10, 13 miles, nice and slow. I just try and enjoy the run. Don't push the pace. This is all about getting miles in the legs and build up your aerobic endurance base. As with some of the principles I talked through before, I'll always make sure I lift heavy and I lift first. So lifting heavy, 5 sets of 5, I'm really stimulating the muscles to be powerful and strong, but I'll do that first. So I don't want to take on a 90-minute long run and then go into heavy squats right afterwards. I'll be totally fatigued and it won't be a visual session. I want to lift in the morning and then I want to run in the afternoon when I'm a bit fresher and I can just focus on that running block. And I can lift when I'm full of glycogen, absolutely full of energy, to lift the maximal amount of weight. Week 1 will be used as a great baseline. Whatever I hit that week, I can use as my baseline moving forwards, and I'll hopefully up the weight every single week, whether it's by 2.5 kg, 5 kg, 10 kg on the reps, moving through from weeks 1 to 4, upping that weight, keeping my form, and making sure I'm ready to keep on improving. I'll go into more detail on the later weeks when we get there, but just to show you now, weeks 3 to 4, the weights will be getting more intense, the Metcon sessions will be getting more intense, and I'll hopefully be upping the weights, but maintaining or even getting better at my short interval running. Weeks 5 to 6, I'll be shifting my reps down to 3 reps. This will help me get more powerful, as well as I'll be able to bolt on more weight so my body gets used to pushing this weight when it comes to event day. The Metcon stations, again, they'll be fully simulated. I'll only be doing the movements which I'll be taking on an ATHX so I get more energy efficient in them. And I'll be making sure to keep the runs there and making a note of what my tempo paces are, as well as my threshold paces and my interval paces, to see if there is improvement in the lower distances but higher paces. Week 7, this is essentially my practice week for the actual event. I'll be going for a max top set on my deadlift, squat, shoulder press, absolute max lift, 1 rep max on the shoulder press, 3 rep max on the squats, and a 5 rep max on the deadlift. Absolutely all out, 10 out of 10 RPE on the top set, and then I will back off maybe a bit more. Don't want to get injured. I know what my top set is. I know what my barrier is. I know what my target will be come 2 weeks' time. So week 7 will be the final hard push on everything I'm doing, as well as a full session on the Metcon. Again, a full test of all my pacing, how many reps I can do in what time, how to push myself, and how hard I can really go when it comes down to it. I'll hopefully hit some PRs this week as long as my training's gone well. And then week 8, total back off. I'll still complete the movements, but nowhere near as heavy. I don't want to get injured. I want to keep myself as fresh as possible, minimal fatigue in my muscles. The event will be on a Saturday. I always have a full rest day right before the event. Thursday, I'd have a really light aerobic Metcon session. It'd be things just like ski erg, burpee broad jumps and running, where I get a bit of aerobic flush, but only for 20 minutes, just to keep the body loose. And then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I have the 3 lifts. It won't be maximal lifts. They'll be a lot lighter, maybe just good form with a bit of speed, just to keep my muscles ticking over. My last hard run will be on Tuesday. This will be a lower volume interval day where the intensity is high, but the volume is low. So I'll still have the speed in my legs over the 750 meters, but I want to keep the fatigue as low as possible for later in the week. I'll use this run to base what my timings will be when it comes to the runs on event day. So that's week 1. I've hit about 40-45 kilometers worth of running, gone to the gym 6 times. I've hit 2 push sessions, 2 pull sessions, 2 Metcon sessions, as well as a leg session focusing on squats, and my 3 to 4 runs. The numbers aren't where I want them at the minute, but that's the point. I know what my baseline is. I know what I have done in the past in January. I want to try and beat those numbers come August. I'm documenting all of this every single week, every session, every run, every lift. You'll see my numbers because I want to show what hybrid training actually looks like. When you're building towards something real, where you know exactly what the metrics are, you can see if the proof's in the pudding, you can see if I've gone faster, you can see if I've got stronger. This isn't just a highlight reel on Instagram. You'll be able to see if the hybrid training actually works. So if you're training for something, whether it's the Hyrox, ATHX, just your first 5K, or you're looking to get stronger without compromising your runs, make sure you subscribe. I'm posting every single week, the full breakdowns, the programs, the numbers, and everything in between. Drop a comment, what are you training for right now? I'll read every single one and I'll help out where I can. I appreciate this program's just for me, so if you want help with your own program, be sure to drop a comment as well. Until then, keep chasing miles, lifting heavy, and I'll see you in week 2.
really enjoying it. So I'm thinking, he said, there's no point there. I feel fine. And I feel like I'm faster,